Hi everyone, this is Gwen Peterson, Certified Health Coach with Take Shape for Life, and I am going to introduce you to Sarah Griffin, who is also a Certified Health Coach with Take Shape for Life. And as she and I were talking about the clients that we both have, I was explaining to her that I have a handful of clients who started the program, did amazing, lost a bunch of weight, and then when they got within 15 to 20 pounds of their goal weight, all of a sudden their mind started playing tricks on them about, well, a Twinkie here or there won't hurt because I can just get back on because I know how easy this program is. And so what that has created for them is a real struggle to get back on plan. So they're yo-yoing with the 5 and 1. And when I was explaining this to Sarah, because Sarah is so well versed on the nutrition in transition and maintenance, she was discussing with me about that when my clients are yo-yoing on the 5 and 1, they never even look at the transition and maintenance phase of the program because they're not there yet, ultimately not understanding what even the low glycemic choices would be if they chose to go off plan with some low glycemic choices. So when we start talking about that, Sarah, I would love you to jump in and kind of respond with what your suggestions to me were to do with those clients to help them get through that last 15 to 20 pounds because they're just yo-yoing on the 5 and 1. So take it away, Sarah.
All right. This is probably the easiest way for me to quickly explain to you. You can see my screen, right?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Healthy eating. What does it look like? There's 3 things your body needs. Protein.
And by the way, Sarah, the left-hand side of your screen is black for us, so we're only getting 2/3 of the PowerPoint. So I can only see to the end of carbohydrate. There we go. Yep. Or okay, can you shift it a little to the right? Now the black bar's on the right-hand side. There we go. Well, that works. Yeah, let's just leave it that way. That'll help.
Okay. So your body needs 3 things: protein, carbohydrates, and fat. And protein's the most filling, all right? And you need a ratio of those things when you eat, okay? You need some of each at different ratios, okay, for your body to function. Protein's the biggest player in weight management. I wanted to kind of point that out. But what does healthy eating look like? You've got to eat breakfast. You have to eat all day, like every 3 hours. You've got to keep yourself hydrated, and you have to use portion control. You need to eat lots of vegetables and fruits, and we're going to talk about why it needs to be more vegetables than fruits. And then you need to eat mostly like low glycemic foods. And, being on the 5 and 1 is the most fast, effective way to lose weight. But if you are finding yourself not being compliant and getting frustrated, then you need to understand what healthy eating looks like and try to be in control of your life and not just all of a sudden put weight back on. So this is what I want you to understand is when you eat, this is your baseline glucose or your sugar level in your body. And when you eat, your blood sugar goes up and comes down, and your insulin goes up and down. It mirrors it. So there's a thing called the glycemic index. And by
the way, can I just say you're getting these pages out of Dr. Anderson's Habits of Health book that you've taken a screenshot of, right? Great. Okay.
So yeah, this is from his book. So there's something called the glycemic index. And what that has done is basically they've taken pure sugar, put it in someone's body, and measured it, how much it raises your blood sugar, okay? So pure sugar is 100. Okay. Now, if you look at this chart, you can see if they've taken lentils, which is like a bean, and they've had someone eat it, and it only goes 28% up, or has a glycemic index of 28. So 28 versus 100, you can see the difference. And so what happens, as you can see here, is you eat a high glucose meal, it goes up, comes down, and then this little tiny thing is your insulin trying to take care of what you ate, okay? Down here you can see the more low glycemic lentils goes up here, and the insulin is chasing that to take care of it so that your body can use what you've eaten. But what I want to point out to you right here is because this was so high, your insulin goes up and tries to chase it, but it overcompensates for it because it's so high and is trying to take care of it, and your body wasn't able to use all the energy that you ate. And so it causes what's called a rebound effect, and it causes hunger, pain, and cravings. Okay, and that's why when you're not eating low glycemic and your blood sugar's going like this all day long, you are hungry and you are having cravings because your blood sugar goes up and it comes down, and it goes actually below because your insulin is trying to overcompensate. And so what I really am hoping that you'll understand is glycemic charts, and be mindful of this when you're eating. If you are gaining weight or you're trying to lose weight, you need to eat lower glycemically.
And can you scroll that up a little bit because we can't see the bottom of your chart? Does it go up at all?
Is that a little better?
Nope, I can only see down to blueberries. Like blueberries is where it cuts off.
One thing I can do is, let's see. No.
There you go.
Not too little.
Nope.
Anyways, so if you look at these vegetables, they're low glycemic, less than 30 is in this dark green area. So these are vegetables, these are fruits, less than 30. And then this goes, and you can see these specific vegetables are 15 or less, so they're really low glycemic. Here in the fruits, these are 50 or less. And there's high vegetables and high fruits. You know, all Dr. A likes to say all vegetables are good, but they're not created equal. And
I'm looking at this chart because I don't incorporate fruit very often because I know how hard it is to balance. So like an apple would be a choice I would grab. But I am very surprised that watermelon is as high as it is because everyone always says it's just water. And that's huge.
So watermelon, looking back at my diet and why I gained so much weight is I live in Arizona. So watermelon's a big fruit, but I could eat a whole watermelon in a day. And so what I was doing to myself, as you can see, is watermelon's glycemic index is 76.
Mm-hmm.
And so pure sugar is 100. So I'm getting pretty darn close to sugar.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was just piling myself with that fruit all day long, enjoying myself, thinking I was being healthy. And fruit is good. It has a lot of great nutrition in it and so forth. But because it was high in sugar, my insulin was chasing it. My body wasn't using all that fuel I was giving it, and then it was just storing it because it didn't have any use for it. So understanding these glycemic charts is really important in going back to our healthy eating habits. Now, what do you do if you're not willing to stay with the 5-in-1 and you're not going to be compliant? It's kind of maybe a sad place to be because you feel like you're a failure and you're not doing something. But I, kind of want to share with you, if you really cannot stick to the 5-in-1, there is something that, I'd like you to think about, which is eating in control.
And we'll zoom in at 100% and let's see if we can see most of this. There, perfect.
We'll see that.
Mm-hmm.
So what I suggest for clients that won't stick to the 5-in-1 but want to stay in control is to understand that you've got to have a plan. And this is the plan that I try to kind of share with them is, you need to eat all day long. So that was our first thing we talked about was, I don't remember what the first one was. Anyways, eating all day long. So here's an example: 6 o'clock in the morning, 9 o'clock, 12 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 6 p.m., 9 p.m. So we're eating 6 times about every 3 hours. And you all know it doesn't have to be exact, but there's a way to march it out through the day. And then you need to be careful about what food groups you're eating when you're eating. And you need to be kind of eating things together. And Gwen will use this word a lot, pairing. What are you putting together to try to keep your you have to have the carbohydrates to have energy to do what you're doing, and then you need to have the protein to kind of elongate it out, so that you stay full for a while until the next time you eat. And so this is an example of a really great way to eat when you are trying to eat in control but aren't going to be compliant with the 5-in-1. And so as you can see, I have, pick a serving of a grain, a serving of fruit, a serving of dairy. And what you need to understand is grains is really high in carbohydrates, and fruit has carbohydrates, but grain also has a little protein, and dairy has some protein. And so I have both in this meal by eating those things together. And then I'm trying to be mindful of having one serving of each. And if you notice, there's 3 food groups here, but yet my calories are 300 to 400 that I should be eating around here. And so I'm having choices from different food groups. I'm trying to stay within a serving size, but I'm getting about the right number of calories to fill me up and get ready for the day. Then I would, watch the clock and eat in about 3 hours after you've eaten this, and you're going to have a fueling. The MetaFast meals that you have are perfect for that. And so you can have some kind of fueling, and it would be probably between 100 and 200 here. If you kind of ate on the low end here, then you can eat a little higher here. That's what I'm trying to say. Mm-hmm. So anyways, at lunchtime, the same kind of thing. You could have a grain, you could have some vegetable, you could have protein and dairy, and you're getting the protein from these groups, and then a tiny bit from grains, and then this has all the carbohydrates in it for you. So you're having pairing, but your tummy's still full and you're still in control. Same thing with the fueling at lunchtime, and then at dinner time, trying to mix things up so you have both protein and carbohydrates, but not all carbohydrates. Remember, when I say carbohydrates, I mean the sugar, that sugar that's going to raise in your blood sugar, and so forth. So that is,
let me tell you, looking at this, because, I know most of my clients know that the 5-in-1 is going to be, 1,500 or at about 1,000-ish calories, depending on what they're choosing. So now all of a sudden they're going to see that's a 1,500 calorie a day fueling. That's going to be a little bit of an alarm, because in their mind, they're only losing weight if they're on the 5-in-1. If they were doing, let's say, that 1,500 calorie a day like that, so a 3-in-3, what would you say is going to happen on their scale, 5-in-1 versus a 3-in-3?
You're not going to lose weight as fast as you are in the 5-in-1, but you have to understand the 5-in-1 it's a physiological state your body is that is burning its own fat. And so you are losing weight quickly because your body is using what's stored on you because of the formula of the 5-in-1. It's a perfect science in pushing your body into what's called mild ketosis. And you actually are consuming more energy or calories because it's getting some that you're eating and some that it's burning inside. But when you go off the 5-in-1, that's not happening anymore. And so you have to fuel your body so that you're not starving and that you're in control and that your blood sugar is staying level so that you don't overeat and thus continue to store. And so I like to start my clients on the 1,500 this meal plan and trying to help them with the food groups. And that makes it so they have a lot of choices. They're not overly hungry and they can be compliant, but they're in control. And, I have some people that will call me and say, oh, I lost 2 pounds this week doing your 1,500 calorie thing. I'm so excited. Well, most of that is because they're eating in control. But I can't promise you how much weight you lose. Your body is your body. It depends on how much you're moving, how you're sleeping, how your stress level is. If you're on this, you're fairly close to whatever a healthy weight should be, but now you're really focusing on what you're eating. So Gwen, I don't know if you want me to go over food groups or...
What I would love to see real quick, and then we can wrap it up, is because ultimately all my clients have Dr. Anderson's book, and what chapter is that coming from that you were referring to on that? Do you know off the top of your head?
We usually start people in chapter 9.
Okay.
That's where the glycemic index stuff is really talked about.
Perfect.
Studying what to choose.
Oh, yes. Okay. And that gives some nice lists of food and things like that. I guess what I would say is if I have a person that's really struggling and they decide, okay, maybe I'll not want to really make 3 meals a day, what would you say if they were going on a 4 and 2 or a 3 and 3? What are the food groups they should be choosing? I mean, I don't know if you can come up with that on the top of your head, or well, let's just go to the 3 and 3. How you had the list of the grain, the fruit, the dairy, all of that. Overall, do you kind of have that broken down of on a 3 and 3, they should be shooting for 2 low glycemic fruits a day and 2 grains? Did you have, or am I thinking about it the wrong way?
No, I have a little chart that I like to share.
Okay.
With my clients. This is kind of really messy, I guess, for you guys to see, but let me see if I blow it up. You can see just part of it. Anyways, I call it the meal building template.
Okay,
So,
and do you want to share your screen so we can see that?
oh, that would be a good thing to do. So what you need in a day. This is what you're looking at trying to do in a day. And you're trying to have 3 healthy snacks. You're trying to have 2 grain servings, 2 fruit servings, 2 dairy servings, 3 vegetable servings, 2 4-ounce servings of protein, 2 healthy fats. You're going to try to stay hydrated, the water, and you're going to try to eat every 2 to 3 hours. Okay. And so when you build your breakfast, you're going to want to say, I want to eat from the grain group. And so I make sure I have bread around that has, it's around 100 calories and it's 3 grams of fiber. That's kind of Dr. A's rule. So I know I can have 1 piece of that. Fruit, if I'm trying to lose weight or gain weight, I'm going to pick a low glycemic fruit and have 1 serving of that, which is a half a cup usually, or 1 small piece of fruit.
Okay.
Dairy, same thing. I'm going to try to pick dairy. I try to eat actually unsweetened soy milk because it has the most protein and the least amount of carbohydrates of any of a milk-like product, but you can throw in, you know, well-balanced Greek yogurt, string cheese, you know, all kinds of things, but again, staying in that around 100 calories. Then I would plug in, you know, a fueling, and you can see the grains and vegetables in here, and so I would just march out my day like that. And then I just kind of have a little note here, you know.
Oh, and then will you minimize to 100% so we can see the bottom of that?
Okay,
Let's see.
not so much what I want. But I have down here, right here, that I'm trying to spread my calories out during the day.
It didn't shift to the 100% for whatever reason.
Okay, maybe I have to stop sharing. I'm gonna do it again.
There we go. Mm-hmm.
So I like to remind myself that I need to spread my calories out during the day. You do that on the 5 and 1. You're eating, you know, little bits all day long, but you need to do that with when you're eating this way too, so that you stay satisfied. So I just kind of remind myself about how many calories I should be spreading out between my day. I had
and by the way, I think what I'm going to do, if it's okay with you, is have you email that to me, and I'm going to copy that and paste it in the comments below on our video, so that's visible to see that breakdown of here's breakfast, grain, fruit, because this is a whole new thought process for most people. So having it mapped out like that, I think makes it a lot more simple to think through.
Mm-hmm. I'll probably share this one with you, but this is a cute friend of mine. Actually, she was my coach. She came up with this, and there's actually 6 days on one piece of paper, and you can fold the paper here and here, and then you can see 1,500 calories. So then I can keep track day by day what I've done.
Great.
And kind of eat in control. Mm-hmm. But still fuel my body with protein and carbohydrates, every time that I eat. There's a lot more resources out there for you, but you got to put it in the time to study the book. Mm-hmm. Chapter 9 is really great. I also really like chapter 12 that talks about, it basically goes into transition and maintenance, and it talks a lot about food groups and glycemic index again, and understanding that that's how you stay in control of your weight, and so forth, and making sure you're getting the right food groups and stuff. But if you're struggling with the 5 and 1, my suggestion is figure out why. And if you really feel like it's not for you, then I would kind of switch over to this and see if you can gain control of your life and eat in control, and see if that scale will stop moving up and maybe even slowly move down.
Perfect. I think that's great. I guess my last question I would have for you is people that like the simplicity of the 5 and 1, but for whatever reason, they're not staying compliant. Do you feel that somebody that shifts to a 4 and 2 still has the ability to stay in that slight level of ketosis where you're able to use your own fat for fuel?
I personally haven't coached someone like that, because I just go to the 3 and 3. I'm kind of a 5 and 1er or a 3 and 3er. Okay. I mean, I do during transition go to a 4 and 2, but that's someone coming off the 5 and 1, moving to this 1,500 calorie. And so, I know there's a lot of different thought processes out there, but I find that if I don't control how much calories are going in during the day, and I'm not in that ketosis, then they're hungry. Mm-hmm. And so they can't stay in control. So I'm not saying that it can't work. It's not from my experience that it's worked. But I feel like this 3 and 3 is easy. But if you really don't want to make food, if you think about it, the MetaFast meals that you have are about 100 calories, right? So if there was a specific meal that you didn't want to make, you could eat 3 MetaFast meals at that meal time, and you would have 300 calories.
Oh, true. I never.
So that's not very cost effective, but if it's a day that's the only way you can stay compliant and trying to keep your calories under control and keep yourself balanced with protein and carbohydrates, it's magical.
Yeah, I would never have thought about that. But I think that, and then we'll wrap it up because I could keep asking you questions, but I think you just said something really important, that when people go into transition, they're going from the 5 and 1 to the 4 and 2 to basically a 3 and 3. And when they are in that 4 and 2 window through transition, they are coming from a fat burning state. So I would assume their body stays at a very low level of that ketosis because they're already coming from there.
Yeah, you're transitioning out of it, where you just pull yourself out of it and throw your carbs, and all of a sudden your hunger is going way up and you're out of control. But when you're coming out of the 5 and 1 and truly doing a transition into the 3 and 3, you're in control.
Right. That's where you're still
up and down.
Right. And that's where you're still losing weight in that 4 and 2, where if somebody that's not being compliant just starts a 4 and 2, I think you're right. They're not coming from a fat burning state. So their body may not have the ability on a 4 and 2 to go into that. And that's why they're just hungry all the time.
Yeah, they're hungry all the time. And it's not their fault. Their body's trying to tell them, I don't have any carbohydrates and protein in a nice balance to keep going. Please feed me. Please feed me.
Right.
And it's confused just like you're confused. And so if you can get control and either be committed to that 5 and 1 and get that weight off and transition And when you transition, this is where you end up, and then you kind of stabilize, and then you, on your activity level and so forth, you start adding calories. For instance, I have been in maintenance, and I can eat up to 1,900 calories if I'm being active and keep my weight between 136 and 140. But if you're not going to be compliant and you've just kind of eaten whatever and you just are out of control, jump to this and try to be in control, but it gives you a lot of choices.
Yes. That's perfect. Well, I appreciate your time, and what I'll do is I will take some of your tools, and maybe what I'll just do is put them in a Google Doc that's shareable and put those links below. And then if you're open to it, I'd love to put your contact information on there, because I can guarantee that there are a lot of people out there in the MetaFast world that are not using a coach, and they don't know this information and would really love to be coached through this. So if you don't mind, I'll put your name and number and email on this video, so that if anybody's interested that, you know, just trying to go it alone on the plan, they can contact you and see if you'll start coaching them.
Okay, great.
So, all right. Thanks for your time.
Okay, thank you.